Hey everyone, how are you? Welcome back. If you are new here, my name is Donna and it's lovely to see you. So today I'm taking part in Scrapbuster challenge, and this week the challenge has been to use some scraps to make photo pockets or specimen cards. So I've been sat down making a few examples, so I'll just quickly show what I've done. I've just made the pockets and then made some tags to go in them. Okay, so I thought I would share how I went about making these. Now, I have done a few because I was trying to work out the best way, or the way that suited me, to put them together. And after having done a few, I think I've come up with the way that suits me the best. Just another thing to point out as well, although it is a Scrapbuster challenge, I don't have a lot of scrap cardboard, so I have actually used 6x6 paper to make mine. So let's get started. I'll show you how to make one. This is the one that I have made that I'm finally happy with, so I'm going to show you how I've gone about this. I began by cutting my 6x6 paper down to 6x4. Just because we're going to fold it in half, and I thought a 3x4 is a nice size for this. So you can use whatever size paper or card you want. I just like the look of that size. Then, and this is optional, but this is what I have found works best for me, I made a tiny, now I suppose you could say gusset, but I've put it on the outside, so I'm going to say flap, or like a fold over on one side, and it measures 1/4 inch. Can you see that? I just scored it on my scoreboard. Another way is just to fold a section over, but the reason I've done this is because I was finding, and I'll show you perhaps on this one, when I just glued it down this side, the tag doesn't fit kind of in the middle. That one's not too bad, but if I was trying to middle a tag, I couldn't get it all the way to this side because the glue where it was glued was blocking it, if that made sense. So I decided in the end just to make a small flap that I could fold over, and then I get the full use of that pocket. I didn't bother with one at the bottom because having a little bit of glue down there wasn't causing me any concern. Also, I just backed these on some old maps that I had because my 6x6 is single-sided, and also it's quite thin. It's not that thick a scrapbook paper, so I went ahead and did that as well. So I'll show you on here. So I've got my 6x4, and I've got a 1/4 inch fold here. So you're going to want your 1/4 inch fold on the right hand side, okay, because we're going to fold this way. Then to fold it in, I just turned it like that, folded this into that crease where it was going to fold over, and just folded that in half. Okay, then that gets stuck down and we have the full pocket there. Okay, so that's all I did. So 6x4, 1/4 inch flap, turn it over, fold it in half up to there, and you're ready to go. So the next stage is making your window. You can do this with a die cut if you want. I tried it once with a die cut. To be honest, it was a bit of a faff. By the time I'd set up my Gemini machine, I've got an electric one, so I had to plug it in, get all the what are they called? The sheets, you know, the sheets to make your sandwich. It was just a faff, and it was easier to just do it with scissors or a craft knife. So you need something to draw around. I'm going to draw around this die. I'm going to put it like this so that I can properly judge the size. and space it correctly. I'm going to get a pencil, going to draw around like this. Oops, keep it straight. Okay, and there you can just see a faint, hopefully you can see, a faint pencil line. Now you can use scissors, you can use your craft knife. I'm going to use a craft knife because it's quicker. I'm just going to bring this in. So get yourself a cutting board that you don't mind using a craft knife on if you're using one. And what I've been doing is sometimes it's a little bit hard to find the corners. So I've been putting across because then I know where to start the cut, because you can always rub it out. And once you've inked it, if you're inking it, it doesn't really make that much of a difference, to be honest. So put your craft knife on in the centre of your cross. And cut. So I'm going to go around each side. And then just pop your square out. Like that. So I've gone a little bit wrong there, so I'm just going to get a pair of scissors and just chop that off. Some small ones. Okay, so then we're left with something that looks a little bit like this. So the next thing to do is to cover our window with some acetate. If you wish to, you might not want to, but if you do, that's our next step. If you don't have any acetate, you could use tracing paper, you could use some vellum, you could take the window out of an envelope if something's come through the post and you wanted to recycle. I have some transparency films from my teaching days when we used to have to photocopy onto them and put them up onto like a projector. So I've got a full box of these, so I'm just going to use these because I may as well. And what I do is put my transparency film over the top, and I just use a pen because it shows up better, and I just mark where I want to be cutting. Now I'm not sure if you'll be able to see, but I do allow quite a bit of room either side, and there is a reason for that, which I will tell you in a minute. So just going to cut that down. Plenty of room there to cut that off. It's a bit raggedy. Okay, so make sure your transparency is clean. Mine's a bit dirty, so all I do is get my jumper. You could get some tissue and I just give it a wipe. Like that, and that will remove any glue or any stickiness. And just give it a double check. Turn it over and we're going to glue it down. Now, people go about this in different ways. This is how I do it. And there's a reason why I do it like this. I get my glue, and instead of gluing onto the transparency, I actually glue straight onto the paper. And I leave quite a gap between the window and where I'm putting the glue. So I will start about there, and I'll try and get a thin-ish bead of glue like this. Then I'll get my transparency. Let's pop that in. And I'll put that on there like that, and then I'll just leave it. I don't press it, I don't smudge it around. I just leave it to sit and let the glue do the work for a couple of seconds. And the reason being is because if you start moving that around, all the glue inevitably will start smudging towards the middle, and then you'll end up with glue all over your film or whatever it is you're using, and it just becomes really messy. So I like to do this because it just gets it in place and gives time for your glue to get tacky and to keep it there. And once it starts to harden and dry a bit, then you can push it down and make sure it's really well stuck. I do go through this in another video. It's called Making Photo Pockets, I think. It's a couple of months back, and I did something quite similar, but I made some photo pockets for 6x4 photos. I collaged them, and I put some dried flowers in the window, and I do go into quite a lot of detail in that video about the best ways I feel to glue transparency down, and how to put things like dried flowers into your window. So if you're interested in watching that, I'll link that video in the description box below, and you could perhaps go and have a look at that after you've watched this video if you wanted a little bit more detail. Now, after that's been sat for a while, then I will just gently press it down with a tissue. And the reason why I'm using a tissue is because if there's any excess glue, the tissue will pick that up, and I'm being careful not to push the glue that way. So I'm just dabbing at the edge, trying to remove any excess glue, and also pressing the transparency down at the same time. Okay, now if you've got anything that's sticking up a little bit there because you haven't quite reached it with your glue, a little dot like that is fine. That will hold it in place. I just like to do this because it stops anything I put in the pocket from catching. Okay, so once we've done that step, we then just need to glue our pocket together. So again, I'm just going to squeeze that down first, remove any excess. To glue it down, we just need a thin bit of glue here, and I'm just going to put some tissue under there because I want to try and get to this bottom edge, close to this bottom edge as possible. Okay, so once that's done, just press it, and again I'm pressing it down, and I'm using a piece of tissue so that I'm scooping up any excess at the same time. Then turn it over. One thing actually which I should have done, if you want to ink your window, I should have done this before putting the transparency on, but you can just, if you've forgotten to do it, just get your little sponge, and if you just hold it sideways, you'll just catch the edge of that window without getting it on your transparency. Like that. haven't gone mad inking these, but I do like to put a little bit of ink around the window just to define it. So just get into your groove like that, and that should get your ink onto there without getting onto your transparency. So once you've glued at the bottom, turn it over, put some glue on your flap, get your tissue again, and just use your tissue to press it down and to get any excess glue that's seeped out. And there's your pocket done. So really quick, really easy. It's entirely up to you then how you want to decorate it and what you want to put inside the pockets. Now, because I've used the map on the inside, it might be quite nice to go quite travel based, but that would depend what I've got to put in there. I have found that the simpler the better in terms of decorating. When I've tried to do too much, I've found they look a little bit busy. So if I show you here, I've literally just stuck 2 things on the front, again here, and I've kept the tags fairly minimal as well. And anything that I've wanted to do inside the pocket, I've also kept quite minimal, so that they don't look too much. Again, really minimal on the front of this one. I love this one. I did some stamping before I closed the pocket up, and then just a really minimal tag, which I absolutely love. I'm going to keep that one for myself, I think. So yeah, I did find, I mean, there's nothing on that one at all, because I've put quite a lot of detail. Well, I haven't, but because I've used some pictures and it's got quite a busy tag, I didn't really feel like it needed anything, and I think it works quite well. You could also, you know, I might put a little something there, but again, I've just put one word and a simple tag. That's how I've been preferring to do them anyway. Of course, you can do them in exactly this, you know, whatever way you want. This one I've done a little bit differently. This one I used my die like this, so it cut the square out and then it left me with the frame. So I used the frame to decorate the tag and just lined it up so that when I put the tag in, the frame sits in there in the correct place. So lots of different things that you can do to decorate. So I'm going to go and have a look if I've got anything that I could use. Maybe that's travel based, and then I'll get back to you. So I found a couple of Tim Holtz ephemera that fit in. So this is a postcard, which obviously relates to travelling, and I really liked the colour and the colour of this stamp with the colour of the card. So they fit in. Now they do fall down a little bit, but because you get the full pocket, it's really easy to squeeze that out, but you could put a tag, like a tab on the end. Another one here is a Tim Holtz piece of ephemera, which I liked because it matches the pink colour in the map. However, I do realise not everybody has something pre-made like this. So another option is a playing card. So if you have an altered playing card, or if you just have a playing card and you want to do something with it, or even if you just want to leave it like that, a standard playing card is a good size to fit in to the 3x4, you know, the size I've done here. So that's another option. I've also found some Marguerite Miller freebies, which I had printed out. Unfortunately, they were all very travel based as well. I can't remember how I got to the link of the freebies, but if you go over to her channel, I'm sure there'll be links that she's put in her description box. So because not everybody has something pre-made, or you may not have a plain card. What I've actually done is cut a piece of card to size. This is just scrap craft card. I've cut it to size to fit inside this pocket with just a little bit of an overhang so that I can get the card back out again. And I'm just going to collage on top. I'm going to keep it quite neutral. And I think I will collage right to the end. So the best way to do it, the quickest way to do it, is just get some Pritt stick, glue straight on to the card. Put that into place. I'm going to let it overhang a little bit just to make sure it's covered, because I can just cut off any excess. And I'll straighten it out with a penknife later. Anywhere that's not glued, I'm just going to press that down. Make sure the corner's stuck like that. Might put that piece there. So a bit of glue on the actual paper this time, so that I'm not gluing directly onto here. I'm going to pop that about there. If you wanted, you could turn it over, but I think that's ideal for journaling on the back, so I'm just going to cut it off. Let's see, that bit fit there. Yep. So bring it down to about there. Yep, cut that excess off. Now mine actually needs straightening up a little bit. I've not done a very good job of that, but you get the idea. Okay, and I'm just going to keep it quite neutral like that, because both of my pockets are quite busy. Oh, that looks nice in there, doesn't it? That yellow goes really nicely. And so I think keeping the tag quite neutral contrasts really nicely with the busy pockets, and it looks nice in there as well. So what we could do, just to add a tiny bit of interest, is in both of these maps we've got kind of like a reddy pink colour, so we could perhaps put a little bit of a focal point there, perhaps there. Do I want it there where the join is? Yeah, maybe. Let's pop that down. Like that. That says bottle stamp. Don't know where that's from. Pop that in, and there we've got a nice pink little focal point as well. I mean, you can keep going, you can build up your collage, but I think the two of those go really nicely together. We can finish it off now with a little bit of inking. Just around the outside. Again, I haven't gone mad with ink. I've just been finishing it off by defining the edges. Front and back, just a little bit. Like that. Same on here if you wanted to, just to give your edges a bit of definition, like that. And we're done. So let's pop that back in here. It's a quick little tag and some pockets. I mean, then you could, if you wanted to, stick something on the front. That might look nice there. It brings the white in with that. There's all sorts of things you can do. As I said, I mean, the variety that I have come up with just in the last day by going through my different papers and things that I had in my stash. I've come up with all different types of varieties and interesting points and different way to do things, longer tags, shorter tags, you know. So just have a look at what you've got, have fun with it, and just enjoy the process. So thank you for joining me. I hope you enjoyed watching that and maybe got some ideas. You can use the hashtag msscrapbusters where if you post a video, that way other people can see what you've been up to. And yeah, thank you for crafting along with me today. Until next time, take really good care of yourselves and I'll see you then. Bye.